I will insert it into this narrative. I am not sure what's going on with my internet. So if I'm having any challenges, please just let me know if you're having any challenges with seeing me on the screen or hearing me. It just keeps telling me it's resuming. So we're gonna keep resuming. We're gonna keep making it happen. How about that? So if you're here for the first time, this is not about me and just sharing my thoughts or my stories. I do consider myself a thought provoker, so I plant seeds for your story to emerge and your feelings and your experiences, because that's what community is about. Our experiences coming together to build community and to make this community flourish. Hey Jan, what's up, sis? Always good to see you. Mama Lovey is in the building. Mother Carolyn is in the building. So grateful. Yeah, Tanisha said it's freezing on and off, but y'all hang in there with me. It seems to be going well now, so let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. My live is still going. It still says it's live, so let's make it happen. And then for those of you who are listening later on via the podcast, because as you know, this vodcast is then turned into a podcast and you can listen on all of your various platforms. So we do this and we do this because we are building community one episode at a time. We are building community in love. We are building community in forgiveness and joy and provision. We are building community to support one another because we shouldn't do this alone. We could do it alone, but we make it so much more difficult when we are trying to journey on this journey of healing, of provision, of success, of hope, of peace, of love. The list goes on and on and on when we try to do it alone. But when we come together, we just build this divine strength and we are able to define what our community looks like instead of other people trying to impose on us what our community should look like or could look like, because they don't know us. They don't know our divine selves. They don't know what has made us and what informs us. They don't know how we love each other with unconditional positive regard, even though it is challenging sometimes, because we do, society and its systems have destroyed some communities and have some people believing that they are what other people have defined them to be. Like Audre Lorde says, if I don't define myself, then I allow myself to be crunched into other people's fantasies and eaten alive. And that is what's happening to those that don't know themselves and don't love themselves and don't know how to be themselves. And when I talk about that, we're talking about being themselves to a point where it's adding value to self, to family, and to community. Um, Tamika said, we don't succeed in anything without support. We just don't. We are stronger and better together. And I feel like, those that are on this line know this. And sometimes I want to be very careful because the strong black woman misnomer, or how a black man is supposed to show up in this world. We define that, and there are times when we have those moments of despair or disappointment. This is why God created tears, This is why God created community. This is why God created a voice for us to share in those experiences so that we can get it out of our heads and out of our bodies, and it doesn't stay in our bodies and cause harm or cause pain that then causes dis-ease, mind, body, or soul. So we come together as community. Let me give you an example of how challenging this is. It's easy for me to say this, and people on this thread, I have had personal conversations with every single person about experiences. um, Tamika says the strong black woman trope is killing us. There is courage and vulnerability and reaching out for help. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if I can add the strong black man trope, because it becomes to a point where we're degrading and dishonoring women in order to lift up the black man. And this is what society wants to do, because society doesn't want women to succeed, doesn't want us to have leadership, doesn't want us to have peace and joy and build communities, because they know that we can, and we're badass, and we'll do it, and we'll do it well. And we'll do it well when we partner with our black beloveds, with our black men, with our black LGBTQIA plus community, with those who are not, whomever is down to build community and to love one another. I am all for it. But first, we got to learn how to love ourselves, right? So, to give you an example, yesterday, I was on my way to the doctor, and there is a corner that has persons who squeegee, right? And it's about a good 5 to 7 of them on this one corner. Like, you have 4 corners, right? But they're on this one intersection, this one piece of the intersection, this one corner. And when they came up to, the car, I said, no, thank you. And unfortunately, here in Maryland, we've been having some challenges with dehumanizing those who are squeegeeing cars for a living. And there have been some deaths from the passenger in the car, or from and I've only seen gentlemen, I've only seen young men, I haven't seen women uh, um, doing this, but there have been some killings. So all of this is running through my mind, and I'm wondering how can I love this person um, with unconditional positive regard when there is a sense of fear, because desperation at times causes one to then act in ways that might be harmful to self and to others. So if I don't have food, and I don't have money to pay rent, and I don't know, where my next meal is gonna, whatever, people tend to act out of desperation, and it may not be the wisest thing, because the system doesn't really do what it's called to do to help you to get the support, because they blame it on those who use it out of context and use it for their own support, but they do it as a scam, right? So now everybody has to suffer for. So all this stuff is going on through my head while I'm at the corner for all of like 15-20 seconds. What do I do? How do I do it? How do I love these people, these human beings, these beloveds? How do we get community to surround these brothers, right? And knowing that they need stuff right now. So that quick dollar, that quick $5 that they get, my dad always taught me, if you're gonna give, just give. Don't worry about what they gonna do with it. That's on them. That's for them to reconcile and to reckon with God, right? So if you're coming to me with a certain need and a pretense, and I give you money and you do something else with it, that's not on me. And I can't be concerned. I'm either gonna give because I want to give and I can give and my love is telling me to give, or I am not going to give because I'm not, whether I just don't have it or I just choose not to give in this platform. I give in other platforms, right? So even in that moment, I had to question, how can I make love out of this situation? How do I make love when love seems not to exist? How do I make love and define it in a way that is outside of it just being sexual? How do I create, manifest, bring about, and make this love out of relationship, out of community, even out of times when things are rough and you may have some challenging times or a disagreement with someone? How can I love that person anyway? And what does that look like? So it looks different for everybody. There may be some similarities, there may be some commonalities, there may be some areas where we meet at that intersection because there are some things that how we live out this love might be the same and may intersect. And then there are other times when you just are trying to figure this shit out, like, how do I love myself enough to be able to love that other person beyond measure, beyond what I see, beyond judgment? So even in my journal, by the way, if you scan the QR code, you can always purchase the journal. The journal is about this reflective journey of healing so that we don't do it alone. So I tell some of my story, and then you have an opportunity to define healing or redefine healing or look at the healing journey that you have taken or are taking, and what can you do to love yourself even more, because love is just, it's infinite, it's beautiful, it's deep, it's divine, it's seen in everything and everywhere. Just looking out my window, I say this all the time, just looking at the trees and the sun or the moon and the stars, that is love, because that is giving us life. And then in return, we give those things life through our breath, through our presence, through our acknowledgement. So, how do we make love? How do we do it? Now, I ain't gonna say some of y'all on this line probably thought I was gonna talk about something else, right? I just had to put this quote from Tamika back up there. Just one more thing about the strong black woman trope killing us. Because as we go through this invitation of let's make love, this is so much more than so much more than some physical action. It's so much more than niceties or respectability politics or skipping through the tulips or being phony. It's so much more and so much deeper than that. When we talk about love and we talk about making love in community, that means that for all intent and purposes, that we are being very intentional about how we show up in the world and how we show up with one another, or how we show up in community and how community shows up for us, how we show up in family and how family shows up for us. It is this reciprocal action. This is the reciprocal feeling. It's a reciprocal you see it, you feel it, you smell it, you touch it, you experience it. It's how we do that so that we can experience peace and we can experience abundance. And even in those situations where it's not easy to do, um, we can make it happen. And we begin with loving ourselves first. And with love, it comes forgiving ourselves, having compassion with ourselves, having grace and mercy with ourselves, because we are perfectly imperfect. So acknowledging that for ourselves, just imagine if we can do that for ourselves, what we can do for others. This morning, I was on a call. Hey, Dr. Dorsey, always good to see you. What's up, Cordio? I'm glad you made it. It's always good to see you. Thank you for your support. So, oh, thank you, Dr. Dorsey, my friend. Thank you. So this morning I was on a call. I'm just going through a lot right now. So y'all just speak my name in prayer. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's the other things that come along with being a cancer survivor and thriver that ugh. You know how you just don't have words. You just gotta just moan or groan or whatever. So I was on a call with a representative, and this particular representative, now I've been calling this place for several days. Well, no, not several days, several months actually, dealing with this. And people have been so just rude, just so just they're not understanding, just downright nasty. And I wouldn't give it back to them. I don't, you that's on you. You want to be crabby and have an attitude. I just need to speak to your supervisor, right? So I'm always kind, I'm always pleasant. Even when I'm frustrated, I'll hang up the phone and I'll pray or I'll breathe, or you know, um I was watching the Golden Girls one day, sidebar, and Blanche said, "I'm just so angry I could just scream." And then she screamed, and Rose said, "I've never seen anyone actually do that before." Like, when you say you're so angry you're going to scream, you scream. It's just so, anyway. So I hang up the phone. I don't scream, but I may do some form of release, some healthy release. Sometimes it's not so healthy, but that's why I have a beautiful family and beautiful children that embrace me and pray for me. But anyway, so I was talking to this representative, and she was the kindest, most informed, gentle, compassionate, spirit filled representative I have ever experienced in my recent memory. Absolutely wonderful. And what she said to me when I thanked her, she said, "How could I be any different? You're already fighting for your life and already going through so much. Why would I add additional stress on your life. And then she went on to talk about a sermon that she heard from T.D. Jakes. So she, a woman of God, and I just was brought to tears because she made love in that moment of, I don't know what I'm going to do financially. I don't know, without telling the whole story, I don't know what I'm going to do, right? But she saw me, she heard me, she had compassion. So she made love out of a very disheartening, scary situation. And I told her, I said, I need to speak to your supervisor. And yes, Dorsey, yes, I will scream when I need to. I actually did so the other day, and yeah, it was pretty scary. Anyway, she so I said, I need to speak with your supervisor. And so she took down my number, because the way they do the referrals, the supervisor will then call me unless it was something really, really bad, like the other day when the person was just really, really nasty. And I just said, I want to thank you for being you and for seeing me. And so I was able to then give back to her and to pour into her because she had just poured into me. So when we talk about making love, this invitation to make love is about having patience and having this unconditional positive regard. And it doesn't mean that you don't get angry, because oftentimes when you're angry, it's probably with someone you love who has disappointed you, or someone you have had hope in that disappointed you or hurt you, with had the best intentions but still hurt you, right? And so we have an opportunity to find a way to then turn that into some sort of loving prowess for us first, before we then try to reconnect with someone else, because then we may be opening ourselves up to, whether it's abuse or continued manipulation, or whether it's ill intentions, and we're hoping that that person has best intentions. So my point is loving ourselves and knowing ourselves and creating love and making love out of whatever situation that we are going through, so that we can then attract those others in a loving way, so that we can make love and make community and build upon this love making, so that we can do other things. We can build together. We can support one another. We can see somebody's pain and anguish. We can experience somebody's joy. We can then intervene when someone can't do it alone, or we can support someone and journey with someone who doesn't need to do it alone. And we can do this all out of love, out of making love out of a heinous situation. With the times that we are going through, we have to find a way to make love, because the system is telling us that we are not worthy. We're dehumanized. We are constantly oppressed and marginalized, and that is just not how we are created. And I say this, and I will say this every episode, that we are divine. We are beautiful, divine human beings who are more than what this world and what this system is telling us. So in order for me to live right now, live with the diagnosis of cancer and get the help that I need, they want me to be impoverished to live. To me, that is an oxymoron. To me, that is not how the system is supposed to work. The money that they tried to give me, that I worked 20 something years for, barely pays my rent. So they want me to live impoverished in order for me to live. But when we make love and we make community, I don't have to depend on a system that wasn't designed for me to begin with, because I have my community to turn to, and we have communal things that we own and that we share, and that we commune together to share our resources and make things happen, and not allow people to be houseless, or not allow people to have to choose to squeegee on the corner versus giving them a job and paying them a job that is going to pay rent and to eat and to put clothes on their back. Whether we judge right, wrong, or indifferent, whatever you do with the money, if you decide to buy a pair of Jordans, listen, not my problem, not my issue. My concern is the system should be designed for us to live in a way that I don't have to be impoverished in order to live. I don't have to squeegee on a corner just to live. I don't have to be on disability just to live. I don't have to succumb to the ills of this world and be silent when police kill black and brown bodies, or when we don't have access to adequate health care, or I can't even find a good school for my grandson, or I can't even find a decent library, or schools are taking out books. I should not have to succumb to any of those things, because we have a community that is honoring who we are as the black beloveds that we are, and we are coming together to make that happen. And the Gucci, yeah, you could get the Gucci bag, the Louis. As a matter of fact, let's shift that to black owned, Tote and Carry and Telfar and all the other black owned organizations, and then challenge them to make sure that we recycle those dollars in our community that is making love. Whew. I love you too, Elaine. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much. That is making love, beloveds. When we create, we're co-creators. And we have the power to create systems that will then empower us to do what we need to do in order for us to not only survive, but to thrive. Making love is being a co-creator. Making love is loving ourselves and loving others. Making love is making love that wells so deep in my soul that I can't help but share it with someone else. When I got it, you got it. If you are not okay, I am not okay. And then we journey together on this thing called healing in order for us to be able to be well, to make love in ways that is just so beautiful and so intimate, so deep, so loving, so caring. That's what it's about, beloveds. So, as we wind down this time together, I just want to say that I love you. And I am so grateful that I am alive to experience making love with you every Tuesday. I am grateful for the grace and the mercy and the breath that God gives me every day for me to push through whatever ills and ailments and challenges that I am going through, and provides me with people who are willing to love me beyond measure and make love in community. so that we can be the people that we have been called to be. And we have been called to be divine, loving, compassionate, graceful, truth telling, unapologetic human beings. Beloveds, I love you dearly, and I thank you for rocking with Dr. Tad on Tuesdays with Tawana. I can't wait. We are going to start having guests. I can't wait until I can't wait to unveil who is going to show up on these episodes. And let me tell you, the guests that I invite, it's very intentional. They're building community in their own worlds, right? With their gifts and their talents. When I say their own world, their gifts, their talents, their spiritual prowess, and they're doing it in different ways. And they will come on this show and just share whatever it is that they want to share about their business, about their spirituality, about their family, all of the above, and how that can add to community and add to the wealth of love that we are ready to make together. I love y'all to the moon and beyond, and I will see you next Tuesday. I love you dearly. I'm out. Later.